Hey there guys, how's it going? This is Rexberg here, and welcome back to another tutorial. And today what we're going to be doing is basically kind of going off of the last tutorial that I did, or I believe it was the last one. Essentially just the menu tutorial, in which we create a basic menu screen. What we're going to be doing here is essentially the same thing. However, instead of using the mouse, what we're going to be doing is using the keyboard, so kind of advancing it a little bit here. And you'll notice I have three separate little options. This stands for start, this one stands for help, and this one stands for quit. I just didn't write them all down completely because I was kind of a little lazy there, but nonetheless, what we're going to be doing here is if I press up or down on my keyboard for the arrow keys, you'll notice that we kind of scroll through each one of these options here, and if I press spacebar on one of them, it selects that option. So this is the help screen, basically just brings you to the game information. So I'm going to hit escape here. And if I go to quit, this will obviously quit the game. And if I go to start, spacebar, it will take you to a different room. And, you can do whatever the heck you want, but yeah. So essentially, that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's go and exit out of this and delve into the tutorial. Oh, actually, before I do, there's three things, just three really quick things I want to let you guys know of. One, there might be some slight buzzing or humming in the background, and I'm basically just having some problems with my sound drivers. So I apologize, if that gets in the way. Hopefully it doesn't get in the way too much, but I apologize if it's pretty relevant there. And two, because of the fact that we're converting, or I guess just changing from the mouse to a keyboard system, this tutorial is going to be a bit harder, I guess, than the last mini tutorial, or I guess not really, I guess, it is going to be harder. But don't worry, because although the code may look kind of monstrous at first when you guys see it, for instance, this right here, it's basically just, for this, just a copy of this one code. Copied 4 times. So I'll explain what all this means. It's very simple. This whole entire engine is very kind of efficient, I guess, in how it works. Not the worst, and I'll try to convey it as such. And the final thing is, in the description, you can, of course, the code should be there to copy and paste, and the example, to download the example, should be there as well, if you guys want to go and do that. But nonetheless, that is all I want to get out. Let's go ahead and, without further ado, just delve right into the tutorial, shall we? So, on the left side here, you'll notice that we have three sprites, _start, help, and quit. And you're going to go ahead and need to create all three of these sprites for your options here, and you can name them whatever the heck you want to name them. There's only one thing that I want to make sure you guys are aware of, and that is over here we have basically two separate sub-images, one that's not selected and one that is selected. And you're going to need to have that for this to work, basically just so it looks like when you select one of these, it actually selects it. So just make sure you do that. You have one sub-image that's not selected, one sub-image that is. And the dimensions don't matter, just like the name, so go ahead and feel free to do what you like there. Right, so that is the sprites out of the way. Now what we need to do is go down here to the objects and basically just create three objects, or you know what, actually, well, yeah, go ahead and create three objects and basically name them accordingly, start, help, quit, and you can name them exactly as I name them, obj_menu_start, or whatever the heck you want to name them. It doesn't matter, I just named them like this to differentiate them from the sprites, because it can get a bit confusing sometimes, at least for me, so yeah. Alright, so starting the start object here, what we want to go ahead and do is, oh yeah, I guess if you want to as well, you can go ahead and just create a blank object with no sprite and call it obj_menu_control for now, and we'll get into this in just a second here, or just a minute. But for now, back to the start object. So what you want to do is go add event, create, and control tab, click and drag over, and execute code action. And in here, type out image_index equals 0 and image_speed equals 0. And this is just setting both the image index and speed to make sure that when all these objects very first start out, because it's the same for all of these, it basically just starts off on the initial sprite, which would be the not selected one, and doesn't move to the selected one. So doesn't move back and forth between the two. It just kind of stays idle. All right. So back to here. Now what we're going to do is go add event and step. Alright, same thing, control tab, click and drag over and execute code action. And what we're going to do here is type out if global.start equals true, curly brace, which is not a parenthesis, it's like the parenthesis with a point at the end, open curly brace that is, image_index equals 1, and then image_speed equals 0. So what this is doing here is basically saying that we're setting our variable, our selective variable. So if the start option is selected, which obviously it's going to start out being selected here because it is the top one, it's basically going to go straight to the selected subimage because you'll notice our image index this time equals 1. And what you want to do next is just copy this whole entire code, hit enter to get another line, and paste it. Now I've already pasted it down here, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. Now the only thing you want to do is keep everything the exact same way in the code, but put a little whatever, gosh, what is that? A explanation mark, I believe, I think. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact name for this. Stupid of me. But essentially what this is saying is the same thing as this. However, that little explanation mark is saying not. So if global.start is not equal to true, then everything is just going to go back to the way it was, 0 and 0 for the subimage and speed, as if it weren't selected, which it won't be. Now then, we're going to go ahead and continue on down here to the menu help. So same thing as before, the image underscore index and image underscore speed equals 0 in the create event, and same for the quit as well. And in the step event, it's essentially the same exact code as last time, except for instead of global.start, we're going to have global.help. And, everything is exact same. And again, here's the not with the help. Alright, so that's that. And finally for the quit, it's the exact same thing, but with the quit instead of the help or start. So there you go. Right, so finally we're going to go ahead and go to our last object here, which is our obj underscore menu control object here. And we're going to go add event, create, and control, click and drag over an execute code action here. And we're going to set up 3 initial variables. Pretty much the same as you guys just saw. However, this time we're actually going to set them up instead of just kind of declare them. So we have global.start equals true because that is the very first one here, so it's going to be selected by default. And next we have global.help equals false, and then global.quit equals false as well because none of those are selected because we can only have one selected at a time. And get off of their printer. Alright, so finally, there's the last 2 events, add event, step, and control, and click and drag over and execute code action. Now, this is where things start to get a little long, I suppose, and seem like they're complicated, but don't worry, they really aren't. Let's go ahead and explain what all these are. So, essentially, what we have here is if keyboard underscore check underscore pressed, remember the pressed. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. Remember, you have keyboard underscore check underscore pressed. So that means every time you press it, it will basically just, that's when it's activating. If you just had it keyboard check, it would basically mean when you hold it down. So if you press it once, it will just go brrr, through a whole bunch of the options. It will not be good. So remember to have the, whoops, not want to do that there. Remember to have the pressed there. Alright, and then in parentheses, VK down, and global.start equals true. So if you press the down key on the keyboard, and our start little variable is equal to true, so if start selected, then start's going to equal false, and then help is going to equal true. And then we obviously have, our curly braces kind of keeping that in line, standing for our start and end block. And so essentially, if you don't get it already, what is happening here is we have these 3 options, and the start is basically selected first. We press the down key, then it shuts off the variable and switches it to our help variable, which is down here. So this one's going to light up because we basically said, for each one of these, that if it's selected, then the subimage is going to equal 1. So it's going to have its selected subimage, signaling that it is indeed selected, and basically the same exact thing goes for the rest of these. So what we want to do is copy and paste this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and each one of these times, we just put VK up and then change the variables and whatnot. Now I'm not going to go through each one of these because they're exactly the same pretty much as what this first initial one is, which, I'm just going to put this in the description below so you guys can copy and paste it here, and, you can pretty much study how this works. It's just, exactly as I said, as this very first code just kind of does. So, it's basically when we move down or if we shoot up or click up, excuse me, it's just kind of cycling through, each one of these variables, which in turn goes through each one of the buttons, and yeah. Alright, so finally, we're going to go add event, key press, and you can do whatever you want here. I just chose space. You can choose enter, whatever you want. And this is going to be what selects our button. So we have if global.start equals true, in curly braces here, which, start and end a block, room underscore go to in parentheses main. So that's making sure that if we hit spacebar while our start is selected, then what's going to happen is we're going to get taken to a different room. And you can put whatever you want as long as it's inside these curly braces here, the blue curly braces. Alright, and the same goes for here. So else, make sure to put the else there. If global.help equals true, then in curly braces, show info, and then for quit, game end. And of course, again, you can do whatever you want here. And if you were to have more buttons, you just want to go ahead and go else if global dot and then whatever the heck you have your variable as. Right? And of course, if you wanted to create more buttons with more variables, you go into your menu control, and everything's all nicely kind of organized here. You just create a new variable, global dot, let's say, I don't know, online equals false. Do something like that, and then over here you just want to put it in with all this stuff. So let's say you hit it down. You just look at how all these are set up, and then you would just copy this. Alright, go like that, paste it, and the else is here. Just make sure to keep aware that the else stays there, and then you just change it accordingly. Alright, and then you'd also have to, I believe, paste it one more time as well, just for the up. So yeah, just, change this accordingly to like up and down and stuff. Alright, and for the space, I believe we just went over this. So if you had online, you just go else if global dot online equals true. Oops, didn't spell that right. Curly brace. Let's just say, I don't know, show underscore message. And wait, I didn't do that right. Hang on. Alright, it's been a while since I used this function. Let's just say match. just kind of whatever. Just putting something there to show you guys how you would add another thing to that. But for now, that is, let's just keep that there. That is how you create a menu screen using the keyboard. And I know this tutorial probably dragged on for a while, but this is still, as long as this tutorial was, this is a really good way to do it and at least get introduced to menu screens. And of course, if you want to go even more advanced later and stuff, go ahead and do so. But this is a good base to start off with when you're converting to keyboard. And finally, I guess the last thing is obviously you want to put all 4 of your objects in the room here. So start, help, quit, and you probably want to put these in the order that they go. So your variables are and whatnot. So obviously start selected first, and then all that stuff afterwards, and then obj menu control goes just wherever the heck you want it to in the room. All right. So there we go. That is how to create keyboard menu screens. Excuse me, man, I'm losing my voice. Hopefully this helps you guys. Again, this description should contain the code. It will possibly be in a paste bin if YouTube decides that it doesn't like some of the characters, and it's like, no, you can't put the code in there. And the description will be there to download for as well for free. So go ahead and have fun with that. Whew. And until next time, until next video, this has been Rex Furry. Feel free to comment, rate, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. And until next time, I'll see you all then.